My name is Ibrahim Ganiyu. I'm an illustrator, animator, graphic designer, and all-around creative person. I like to call myself a creative person first, ahead of everything. I presently run and own Imperial Creation Studios Limited, IC Studios, a creative products and services company run in Lagos. We do comic books, illustration, advertising consultancy, illustration for children's books and all. Video production, photography, creative consultancy and training, and we do animation as well. Lagos Comic Convention 2014. Yeah, we have our chief title, the one that is known all over Nigeria practically. It's called Nigeria's Most Wanted Comic Book, Dark Edge. It started 15 years ago and has been #1 in the comics in Nigeria. So we have our comic title, Dark Edge, here. And we have June 12th, one of our other titles, a new release one. And we have Little Thunder, a story loosely based on the life of a Shango as a 10-year-old boy while he was growing up in Oyo. So we have those three titles here presently. Dark Edge is essentially a story that has a very deep past and an interesting present. It's about a man who presently woke up in the middle of trying to kill somebody without any memory of where he's from, what he's doing, and what his name is. But he has an object in his hands that is obviously dangerous, and some people are after that object. So he's out to find out who he is while protecting himself for those people who want to get that knife back. But we find out in the course of the story that that knife, as it's called, has a long history that far precedes him. That comes way before him, and it's going to come after he's not even there. So it has a history that's really behind the knife. It's more about the knife than about the man. Yeah. Our comics and IC Studios, everything we do is about culture. Culturally grounded stories rooted to the present time while talking about the past, and then also looking at international standard acceptance of those stories. But we never do anything without weaving our culture into it. It's a major factor of what we do at our company. More than actually.
More than. So what's the acceptance been like?
I mean,
inspired by what you think you have been,
acceptance has been beautiful. I don't think there's been anywhere we've been to that we've not had people go like, wow, we have comics in Nigeria, and then they jump on board. Always, the response is always like, seriously, you guys did this in Nigeria. So acceptance-wise, people know and love what we do. That's what we're trying to do, is because the challenge is even less about the audience now than it's about us, the producers. We have the challenges of keeping up with what the audience wants. That's what our problem is. That's what we're trying to keep up with. That's why events like the Comic-Con are essential to that kind of, to bridging that kind of gap. It exposes the audience to immediate happenings in the comic industry in Nigeria, while giving the publishers an opportunity to interact and find out more. Okay, what do you guys want? How do we go? What direction are we going? Should we go that direction or not? So acceptance-wise, I mean, I've been doing this for more than 25 years. My company started in 1990, so I've been doing comics all that while, and I have had no cause to regret ever being in this, because really it's been beautiful. It's been beautiful.
When I think of comics, I think of kids. It's amazing that I'm seeing adults, so many of them in this place. I mean, are you telling me that adults still read these comics?
Well, I mean, it goes back to the production end. When I was young, I felt that way until I realized the guys who did the comics that I was reading were 70-year-old men. Exactly, seriously. Then this is not really for children, and then you find out that some of the content of comic books are not really for children. But saying that, I think the honest truth is a mistaken conception about comic books, as in to relate with cartoons. Now, animated cartoons they even have different grades. So comics are about content. There are comic content that are purely for children. There are comic content that are purely for adults. There are comic content that are even for older people, not even for teenagers at all. And so it's all about grade and what you're going to do. But you find out that the acceptance in Nigeria is largely adults, older teens, and then adults. More adults are the ones interested in comics more. Children are, but there are very few children-oriented comic books around Nigeria right now, and that is a gap that my company is trying very hard to fill, and then call other people on board. Like, look, we need to educate children about all these things that we're doing, about our culture, about Nigeria, about life, about living life, about science, about technology, about the future. So we're producing more comics now with the children in mind. Because ultimately we realize the purpose of comic books in any country is education. Education and recreation. Education first, recreation after. You just wrap the education up in a recreational way so that the education is gotten while people are being recreated. Yeah.
place you did for the comics and games. What is
Wow.
what links the two?
It's some games for the average comic reader is your comic character coming to life. That's essentially that's just what it is. And then you get the ability to not even control the story of the comic book. When you're reading the comic book, you're given a story and you read it through. But when you're playing the game of the character, you control the story. You control how the story flows. So basically, the connection is no. I can't even begin to describe it. I'm very much into games.
Do you create now or produce games?
Yes, we have. I mean, my studio just joined with some people, and we're partnering to produce 2 video games based on culture and the present Nigerian happenings. There's Garage Combat coming up from Play Factor. Garage Combat. It's rooted around Lagos garages, and then we'll go to garages all across Nigeria and then pick out characters from there. You know, just create regular characters that people jam in garages. We use them as characters in this game, and then we have a game loosely based on Tiogo Fagunwa's Budio Den Gurumale. It's called The Forest of 1,000 Demons. So that's a game in the works, and we're working on that as well. So definitely we are into video games and movies as well.
Thank you so much for your time.
No, it's a pleasure.